Okay, maybe we'll get going. If you haven't muted your audio, you can do that until we get to the question and answer at the end. You can also turn off your video if you've got a slower internet connection. That might make your experience a little better by turning off the video. You can turn it back on when we get to the chat at the end there. To ask a question, you can use the chat. During the meeting here, I won't look at it till after the presentation, but you can type it in there. Handout is currently available out on the PC Club website in the past meetings page. And Jim will be adding it to the chat a little bit later, because if he adds it right now, the people who join won't see the document, so he'll wait a couple of minutes and then put it out there also. Agenda will cover club status, and then we'll get to our main topic. Future meetings, we have the MACSIG has a meeting this Friday, June 17th. They're covering quite a few things there, you can see. So if you do have an iPhone or an iPad or a Macintosh, it's worthwhile to join and see what's going on there. Our next general meeting is going to be July 20th, and our topic is going to be on e-calendar or calendar tips and tricks by myself, and we'll talk about the electronic calendar. This is what you have on your phone, tablet, PC, and smart device. And we'll talk about what they can do for you and how you can create items, share calendars with friends and family and that. Normally we have a question and answer the first Tuesday of the month, but for July, that would be July 5th, and I think we'll take a little vacation in July, and so our next question and answer online session will be August 2nd. These are our officers. Jim is our president, Linda is our vice president, Paul is our membership secretary, Paula is our treasurer, Chuck is our recording secretary, Mike leads the MACSIG, Andrew is our communication coordinator, I'm a director at large. We're always looking for volunteers, and the last board meeting we did start talking about trying to get together, get the members together, either in a meeting or a picnic or go to a restaurant or things like that. So if you've got some time and would like to help us out or have some ideas, we'd love to have you help us, because we can use all the help that we can get there. Contact any of the board members, and we can go from there. Or if you want to sit in on the next board meeting and hear some of the issues, and if you do have some options. So we were talking with this last meeting. I think Chuck Scott deals with the Hot Rod Club, and they've been meeting at a pizza place that we might look into doing something like that. But again, in order to do these, we do need someone to help coordinate it and get things going. So if you are interested, contact any of the board members there. Members old and new, you can pay your dues to Paul. He sends out a reminder when your membership expires, so everybody has a different date. Depends on when you join the club, so not everybody expires at the same date, but he sends them out. And make sure and let us know if you do change your email address, because that's how we send out notices of these meetings and keep in touch. If you do have suggestions for topics, you can email any of the board members. You can talk to any of the board members. If you'd like to volunteer to present on any particular hardware or software you may be using at work or at home, or if you don't want to present, we do have a monthly e-bites newsletter. You can write a short, meaning a sentence or two, or a long, as many pages as you want, article for our monthly newsletter. Out on our website, I do post the past meetings and slides, so if you miss any or do want to revisit either the video or the handouts, you can go out there. Usually we try and record the meetings also, and the video for those are also out there. We do have a deal section, and we have our monthly newsletter, and the link is sent in the email that we send to everybody. Okay, let's get to our main topic today, which is smart devices, the 2022 version. So we'll jump right in. We've been waiting for years, ever since Jetson, at least I have. When I grew up as a kid, Jetsons had all the modern conveniences and things like that, and I was always amazed the different devices they had. Well, now it's kind of interesting because a lot of the concepts that were back then, whether it's wearing stuff on your wrists and the TVs and video and electronics, it's finally here. It's taken a little bit of time, but it's finally here. They now are starting to change our lives for the better, and the prices keep dropping, and the features we keep getting more and more features all the time. So it's really an exciting time for smart devices. A little definition, at least my definition, a smart device is an electronic device that connects to other devices or networks. So it's not an old coffee pot, because that old coffee pot doesn't connect to a device or to the networks. But a new coffee pot, a lot of the new ones can connect to the internet. You can turn them on and off. You can do all kinds of functions there. Setting up a lamp to turn on and off at your command is relatively simple and relatively inexpensive to do. But others, if you are setting up, let's say, a surveillance system, that can require some serious investment of time, money, and a monthly subscription. So we'll talk about a lot of these different options and things, but again, smart devices range from the very inexpensive to very expensive, along with the features and the functions. Start with your first device and add to your own IoT. So IoT stands for Internet of Things, and that's what they've been saying for years about the Internet of Things. We'll have the Internet built into a lot of these different devices and communication and things like that. So it's really an exciting time for all this stuff. So what are some things to consider before you start buying all of these? And I recognize that a lot of people already have smart devices, but we're adding new devices all the time. And so there's things to consider when you are purchasing some of these new devices here. The first is, which platform do you want to use to control your devices? So almost all the devices come with their own tablet or phone app. But if you want to smarten them up, it takes planning on what devices to buy and to connect. Some devices only operate by themselves. So if you buy into a vendor, only their devices talk to each other or do things, while others interact with multiple manufacturers. Most of the new devices also work with the assistants, whether it's voice or video, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the assistants like Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant, or Apple Siri. The assistants can be used to turn on and off certain devices, view cameras, control your TV, change your thermostat temp, open doors, and thousands of other tasks there. Also, a single command can be used to do multiple tasks. One of the ways to do these multiple tasks is through a thing called IFTTT. That stands for if this, then that. And you can integrate and automate tasks by making simple scripts where an event in one device triggers an action in another. An example of that is, let's say you have a motion detector or a camera, and it detects motion. That motion causes a light to go on, may cause an alarm to go off, and also send a text message to your phone. so you can link things together there. Some other important considerations is the communication protocol. This is what these devices use to talk to each other or to their controllers. Some of them talk directly to the internet, while others require a hub that then connects to the internet. One of the ways that they can connect is through Bluetooth. There's not too many smart devices that use this, but it is used on a small number. It does have limitations. It's limited to usually to 20 to 50 feet, and Bluetooth is not an internet connection, so maybe your phone could talk directly to one device there using Bluetooth. Another option is Wi-Fi. So most of us have a home Wi-Fi network, and you connect the devices directly to your Wi-Fi network. The advantage of that is you get the best range. So it's nice that because the Wi-Fi networks usually can cover a large area, that means that you can have these devices inside the house or in a very large area there. One of the downsides to Wi-Fi, though, is frequently the connection, the Wi-Fi connection itself, does use a fair amount of electricity, and it always has to be on and always has to be connected to the network. That can mean that if you have, let's say, a light bulb or that light bulb, the Wi-Fi connection may be using more power than the actual light. And so if you're looking at power consumption, having a lot of smart light bulbs can actually cost you more money if they're Wi-Fi, because it has to always be connected to the Wi-Fi, and the amount of electricity to do that connection is substantial there, or well, it uses more than what an LED bulb would use. Also, with Wi-Fi, you're counting on having that good connection to your Wi-Fi network. Once you start going outside the house, most people don't have a very good connection outside the house, or for that matter, maybe down to their basement or up to the top floor. So if you are going to have a smart home network and all these devices all over, you do have to have a very good home Wi-Fi connection, or you're going to have trouble with these things not working. This is especially true of cameras that are sending a large bandwidth of information and that. Okay, another communication protocol out there is a thing called Zigbee. And Zigbee is a way that devices can communicate with each other using a mesh network. Mesh network meaning one device can talk to another device that can talk to another device. So they all can communicate with each other, and that. The advantage of this over Wi-Fi is it uses very low power. The disadvantage is, though, it does require a hub to connect to eventually to connect to the internet. So at some point you have to install one or more hubs that do connect to the internet. Now there are already devices out there that have Zigbee hubs built in. As an example, the Amazon Echo Plus or the Amazon Echo Show, they can act as Zigbee hubs. So that capability is built into some devices that you may already have. Another is a protocol called Z-Wave, and this is similar to the Zigbee, except different manufacturers. Some use Zigbee, some use Z-Wave, and you'll see all these different ways. Different vendors use different capability there. It does require a hub to connect to the internet. Another one, this is a little older one, Instant. Instant is the advantage of the Instant connection or protocol is it's meant to use the electrical wiring in your house kind of as a network. So it combines both the wired powered line-based protocol and wireless. It works as a mesh system. and does require a hub to connect to the internet. But the advantage over these other systems is if you have electricity within your house, that is going to give a good connection to any device plugged into the electricity. Another option is 4G and 5G cellular network. So this is what your smartphone currently uses and connects. So some devices have kind of a built-in smartphone in the device itself. They usually cost more because it is the equivalent of having a phone built into the device. The advantage is it doesn't require a Wi-Fi or other connections. And it has other advantages too, like from a security standpoint. Uh, let's say a burglar was going to break into your house. In the old days, they'd cut your power lines into the house and cut your internet connection into the house. Well, if you have a cellular connection for your security system, they can't cut that. For security systems and some of the higher end smart devices that you want to make sure that can connect all the time, the 4G, 5G cellular network can provide that capability there. Another one that you may have or certainly have heard of is the Xfinity or Comcast, the X1 home controller. That actually uses a Zigbee. And Xfinity, I believe, charges like $30 a month to put this hub in and give you that capability there. Okay, some other things to consider. Well, a lot of these can be done do it yourself. Just follow the directions or look at a YouTube video. Or you can get professional installation for some of the more advanced security systems or integrations there. But you do have the wide range of people doing it themselves. Most people are doing it themselves, but there are professional installers out there. We mentioned some of the earlier systems, protocols. There's hubs, and the hubs themselves can cost anywhere from $20 to $150. And some of the hubs also require a monthly fee, so there may be a fee anywhere from $0 to $50 a month. This little graphic is just kind of showing if you've got devices that are Wi-Fi enabled, they connect directly to your wireless Wi-Fi in your house. And then go to the internet from there. When you have the hub, the devices don't talk directly to your wireless modem in the house. They go through this hub, and then the hub communicates with the wireless modem. This means that the hub is taking some of the load off of your wireless modem. So if you had a whole bunch of security cameras or a bunch of things there, everything wouldn't be competing with the wireless network all at once. It'd be going through the hub, and then the hub would be making decisions. So there's advantages and disadvantages of the hub and that, but it's best to understand what's going on. Another thing to consider before you buy is if you're going to have cameras, and a lot of people have cameras nowadays, either for security or monitoring or that, is where you what do you really want to use them for, and do you want to store the video? And if you want to store 7x24 video, or every time there's movement or different things like that, the costs can vary widely from $0 to $30, and that's per camera. So if you had 6 cameras and you're paying $30 a month, that can add up in an awful hurry there. So if you want to plan this out, what camera to buy, what service to use, and not just buy a camera and then be shocked at the prices there. Another option to look at before you buy is most of the devices, especially in the house devices, plug into an outlet. But if you're talking about outdoor devices or that, some of them you may not have a plug outside. So Then you can buy it with a battery. And then if you have a battery, how long does the battery last? And does it need to be recharged? So that's a consideration there. Okay, let's talk about smart devices in general here. Prices continue to come down and new devices are added all the time. Literally every day there's hundreds, if not thousands, of new devices and new manufacturers out there. Consider buying a smart device when an old dumb device dies. So if you do have an electronic device in the house and it dies and you're looking to buy something new there, consider buying a smart device because they started building the smart capability into almost every electronic device. And because it changes so fast, search the internet for the latest devices, the features, and the prices that are out there. I mention in here automation's unintended results. And by that, well, we'll talk about a couple of situations here. This goes back to the days, this is actually, I used to have a system called X10 that would allow you to turn on lights, had motion sensors, had an alarm, things like that. And this goes back 25 years ago. But one of the things I had done there is I had used a motion sensor, and whenever it detected motion in my basement, I had it turn on my basement lights and then turn on the lights for 5 minutes, which is kind of nice because my garage goes into my basement, and if I was carrying groceries or anything, it would turn on the light, and that was all well and good. The problem is if you were in part of the basement where your motion is not detected, so I went by the motion detector, it turned on the lights for 5 minutes, but then I was in my workshop, and my workshop, I didn't have a motion light down there. After 5 minutes, it'd turn off the lights in my workshop. So that wasn't a good thing there. The other example that I tell people is you can set up these systems nowadays so that when you leave your house, it'll turn off your lights, it'll turn down the heat, and it'll shut your garage door. And when you come home, it'll open the garage door, it'll turn on lights on, and it'll turn up the heat. All sounds well and good, except most of that is controlled through your smartphone with something called geofencing. And it detects whether your smartphone is near the house or coming to the house or leaving the house. So when you go out for a walk around the block, it activates the leave, turns off the lights, turns down the heat, and shuts the garage door. And then when you come around the other side of the block and kind of start getting close to home, then it opens up your garage door, turns on the light, and turns up the heat. Again, these unintended things. You just have to try them out, so some of this automation may sound good, but the practicality of it working may not be exactly what you want. Also, what you have to consider is false triggers before you set up automations, whether it's with motion sensors or cameras or that. There's frequently false triggers, dogs, animals going in front, lightning, wind, all kinds of things can set off some of these. And so you may find it's just not worth the trouble of some automation. So keep that in mind as you buy things, and you certainly try out and see what works for you and what doesn't work. Okay, we'll start talking about smart devices in general. And the first smart device, if you're considering buying or if you haven't already bought, you should be, is a speaker or a voice assistant. And these are things like Amazon Alexa, Google Now, or Apple Siri. They can play music, answer questions, order things, create a shopping list, set alarms, connect to other smart products, do phone calls, send message, and thousands of other tasks. Just in the last year, almost 40 million smart assistants have been sold. Prices range from as low as $20 up to $300. And if you want more detail on that, we had a meeting last year in June of 2021 on the voice and video assistance where I went into more detail there. But we'll go here. Personally, I have 3 Amazon Dots and I paid about $25. You can find them on sale, and with Amazon Prime Days coming up, you'll find them $20 or less. And I also put one in my dad's apartment. I use it to turn on lights, turn a heater on and off for a specific amount of time, turn on my TV or mute it, or get my calendar, grocery list. I've set up my parents' pill reminders. They can use it for a radio. They can use it as an alarm clock. You can ask questions. You can get weather, date, time, just a whole bunch of different activities there. And they come in all shapes and sizes. I show the old Amazon Dot here. These are new, relatively new devices, built into glasses here, built into earbuds, built into cameras, built into speakers. So they come in all shapes and sizes nowadays. In addition to the voice assistants, you do have video assistants. And the video assistants will do everything that the voice assistants can do. Plus, you can do video calls, stream TV, view your security cameras, get notifications on there. These screens range from 5 inches to 12 inches. Some of the more advanced video assistants will follow your voice and zoom in if you're having a video call. They also support touchscreen and more. Example is the Amazon Echo Show. You can get as cheap as $49, up to Google Hub $229, or the Facebook Portal $200, and many other. Prices range from $50 to $300. Personally, I have an Echo Show 5-inch, and I put one of these in my dad's apartment. What you can do with this is I can do what's called drop-in at any time, and I can check in with him, talk to him, or see him on the video there. He doesn't have to answer it or anything. We did have to set up the permissions, one-time security, so not everybody in the world can't drop in on my dad. Only my account can drop in on my dad. But you can also view security cameras. You can do photo slideshows and thousands of other things. My sister, my nephew had bought my sister the Facebook Portal. And the Portal is one of those more advanced assistants where it'll follow you, the voice, and zoom in on the voice. So it's great for having video chats with grandchildren, and it works really great. Okay, the next smart device we'll talk about is a light bulb. Edison may have invented the light bulb, but only recently has the light bulb turned into all these different things. So a current smart light bulb, a lot of them, certainly you can turn them on and off. You can create schedules, dimming, brightening, changing colors, group lights together, outdoor or indoor, and more. Just a warning, most smart bulbs do not work well with most old light switches, whether you have a dimmer or a standard light switch. Because the light switches, the old light switches, when you turned it off, it cut the power. It cut the power to the light bulb. Well, if you cut the power to a smart bulb, it cannot connect to the internet. So there's no way for it to get a command to turn itself on or to do any commands. So if you have old light switches and things like that, and you want to continue to use light switches, you do have to upgrade your light switches to smart light switches. Personally, I do not use smart light bulbs to control my lights. And we'll talk in a little bit about smart plugs. But if you like the light bulbs and like to change colors or things like that, certainly the light bulbs have a lot of capability there. CNET rated the $8 Wise bulb as the best value. It works with Alexa, Google, and IFTTT, and doesn't need a hub, which means that it connects directly to the to Wi-Fi there. The app includes useful features like scenes, shortcuts, and a vacation mode. It doesn't dim quite as low as some of the other smart light bulbs, doesn't support Siri, and doesn't have a scheduled sunrise or sunset schedule that you can put it on. Okay, I mentioned before that smart bulbs don't work well with dumb light switches. So if you do want to use light switches and you are going to have these smart devices, you're going to want to get a smart light switch. And if you don't, you're going to have trouble with your smart devices. Just like I mentioned here, don't use a smart light bulb with a dumb light switch. It just won't work. Also, not all dumb light bulbs work with smart switches. So if you are going to go that route, you want to make sure that the bulbs and the switches are compatible with each other. Plugs, so smart plugs. Plugs can be indoor or outdoor. You can use them to turn on or off. You can schedule them. You can do countdowns usually. You can do, most of them have a manual button on the unit itself to manually turn it on and off. Some of them, the more advanced ones, can track energy consumption. There are some for outdoor uses. Sizes range from very small to quite large. So if size is going to be an issue, you want to find something that's going to work for you there. Some of them have a USB charger included. Smart bulbs will not work with newer dumb devices that have an electronic switch. So an example there is if you put a smart plug on an old TV and the smart plug turns off the power to the old TV, and the old TV kind of resets itself every time it loses power, that's you may want to consider getting a smart TV or getting a different device, because that smart plug is not going to work the way that you really want with an old device like that. Over the years, I started out with the EUFY home for several lights. So I had about 5 or 6 of those, and they worked well for voice and scheduling. The only downside to those particular devices is they did not support sunrise or sundown scheduling. But I was able to create an Amazon Alexa routine to turn it on 30 minutes before sundown and then turn it off at night when I went to bed. So there are ways around this, and that's where the programming and the integration with some of these other things is important. I use one to turn a heater on in my den for X number of minutes, so I don't accidentally leave the heater on all the time. So you can set up these different programs and these different ways of doing things. The nice thing about these plugs is they do show me energy consumption, so you can go in and you can see how much energy has been used and a graph of the usage there. Over the years, I think it was 3 years ago or so, I bought, excuse me, at Menards, FEIT plugs. These were inexpensive plugs. I think I paid $4 or $5 for the plugs, and I use those to control my Christmas lights, both indoor and outdoor, that I can do on voice, and I also have them on schedule, and on my Christmas tree, I have lights lights are on a different circuit than the motion. The motion ornaments I don't leave on all the time, but I do like to leave the lights on. So I have those each on a different circuit. So you can do all kinds of things with them. Wise does sell a 2-pack for $15, and it does the basics well. Thermostat. Thermostats, we know, are used to control the temperature, but with a smart one, you can control it remotely. So if you're at work and you wanted to turn it up or turn it down, or like yesterday, you knew it was going to be very hot, and you hadn't turned on your air conditioner or set it, you could remotely set it there. You can also set up schedules. It can learn your routine, built-in assistant. So some of them you can talk directly to, or if you can't talk directly to, if you've got a Amazon Alexa in the house, you can use that. Geofencing, that's controlling if your smartphone is leaving the house or coming into the house, it can do things. They can track energy consumption, motion occupancy sensors, humidity sensors, or reminders for maintenance, furnace features. You have to make sure that it's compatible with your furnace. In the old days, the furnaces and air conditioners were pretty dumb or standard. They were either on or off, and the fan may be on or off. And so the control to do that is quite simple. Some new furnaces, you have multi-speed fans and you have multi power output furnaces. So if you do have one of those, you want to make sure that you match it up to the capability of your smart furnace there. Personally, I don't have a smart thermostat there. I've looked into it a little bit. One of the things that's kind of stopped me is my furnace does not have a C-wire. It's called a C-wire, and that's a power source for the smart devices. And my thermostat doesn't have that, so I'd either have to get a special connection or have somebody rewire my current system, and at this point, I don't have a smart thermostat. Door locks. Door locks are very popular. Certainly, you can open and close them remotely. Some of them have a camera. They do the geofencing, touchpad notification, voice activation, and auto lock. Prices range from $100 to $300, all different shapes and sizes. Personally, I do have an older electronic lock with a keypad, and at this point, if something happened to it, I'd look to replace it with a smart lock, but at this point, I'm okay with what I have. Video doorbells. Ring is probably the most popular that you've heard of there. Certainly, they have a camera. Most of them support two-way voice, cloud storage of the video, notifications, night vision. If you don't have power for your doorbell, some of them do run off of a battery. But again, look into how often you might have to charge it or what you'd have to do there. Motion zones, face recognition, etc. Prices range from $80 to $300. And again, because it's a camera, you may have storage costs also associated with it. Personally, I don't use there. Video cameras, all shapes and sizes of video cameras. They can be indoor or outdoor. They can be cloud versus local storage. You can get security notifications, sound, movement, face recognition, night vision, zooming, panning, two-way audio, time lapse. They could be battery, they could be plug, or they could be solar there, or any combination there. You can use it to monitor your doors, monitor your kids, your pets. Prices range from $20, so very inexpensive. You can start out inexpensively, up to about $400. Plus, you have to consider what do you need for cloud storage of the video. Storage examples of the cloud storage for free the Wise camera will give you free cloud storage of notifications of 12-second clips for 2 weeks, and then the video is deleted there. So you'll get your notifications. You can view them online. It's just 12-second clips of when the motion started there. Nest, another example though, is like the Nest. Nest charges $3 per month per camera for 30 days of storage. So there are a wide variety of prices and options out there on what you need. Wise also does have options for giving you artificial intelligence, facial recognition, and 7x24 storage of video. So video cameras. Personally, myself, I started out with Wise like 5 years ago or 6 years ago. At the time, they were selling a $20 camera. Now it's up to 24 or something like that. They were indoor cameras, but I actually used one outside my garage, and I pointed it down my driveway. And I had another in an unheated porch area. They worked great, even in the 10 below, 20 below of Minnesota. They still worked great there. I get notifications of movements. You can customize the zone that it's monitoring. With any camera, you will get false notifications. Could be from snow or rain or bugs or cats or raccoons or rabbits. All kinds of things can give you the false deals there. I mentioned here, so Wise started 5 years ago. In that 5-year period, they've come out with 3 models. They're now on version 3. Version 2 added the capability of people and face recognition. So that was a nice feature there. This is showing kind of the old setup I used to have in my house, but down here, this is on my garage. I positioned a camera just on the top of the garage there, looking down my driveway there, and that would notify me if people were coming to my front door. And then in my back, I have a porch out my back, and I put the camera inside the porch there. And so that's what I'm showing here, where I have it located. This is the smartphone app, and the smartphone app, you can view it live there. So this is what it looked like looking out my porch there, and this is what it looked like looking down the driveway to my door there. So I can view a live feed at any time I want. I also get notifications of movement, and you define what area you're monitoring. Wise provides that free storage of 12-second notification clips that'll be saved for up to 2 weeks. You can also put in a micro SD card for local video storage. So I put that in, and if I want, I can go back in time and I can look at video from, let's say, yesterday or at any point in time. I can pick up the video there. I also put a Wise Pan camera in my dad's apartment, and that was so that I would be notified of movement in his apartment, and I could look at him at any time also. This is an example of what the video and that looks like. It's 1080p video. You can download the video, and it's fairly high quality. This is from my version 1 camera back in 2019. And this is myself here talking to my neighbor near my front door. But I'd have it monitor my front door area here. So this is where I was detecting motion, and I would get an alert if it detected motion there. Security kits. There's all kinds of security kits, motion, leak detector, smoke fire, panic buttons, sirens, base stations, keypads, touchscreens, contact sensors for doors. You can do it self-monitoring, or you can have a professional monitor the alerts and call the police. That can cost you anywhere from $10 to $50 a month. And personally, I do not use. I threw this in here because This I think is interesting. 3M got into the smart device business there. They created this a number of years ago. Built into certain models of the filter are a monitor that monitors airflow and usage. And then they have they have an app on the smartphone, and it talks by Bluetooth to the smartphone to let you know the right time to change the filter, and it can even order replacements off of Amazon. Prices of the filters vary from $17 to $40 each. Personally, I don't use, but I thought that was interesting. Other smart devices. This is one that's interested me, and I'm considering getting. This you can either buy new garage door openers or add items to existing garage doors. So below is an example of Wise does have a combination camera and a switch that you use for your garage door. Any old garage door that you have, you install this, and it can tell you whether the garage door is open, closed. You can view it at any time. You can set up schedules at 10 o'clock each night to close the garage door, so you can set up some things there. Outdoor lights. Lots of people are turning those into smart, whether it's floodlights, path lights, spotlights, step lights. They can do motion detection for security. They can integrate with your cameras. So if your camera detects something, turn it on, or scheduling. There's thousands and thousands of other smart devices. Example, televisions, TVs, streaming boxes, robot vacuums, washing machines, refrigerators, ovens, appliances, window shades, pet feeders, grills, vacuums, sprinkler systems, gym equipment, and thousands of others. This is from the last PC Club, from the last PC Club survey. 51 members of the club had responded, and this was the smart devices that the club members own. So we can see here that over half of the club members that did respond either have a smart TV or a streaming device. And the streaming devices are considered smart devices because they're connected to the internet, and you can usually control them by Alexa and stuff like that. Then we have these various other devices, whether it's voice assistants, thermostats, light bulbs, plugs, garage door openers, smoke detectors, sprinklers, and others. And this is interesting. Of the 51 people that responded, only 13 indicated that they had no smart devices at this time. Wise, I've mentioned Wise a few times. This is the website. You can go out there. They make all kinds of products. They have always gotten high ratings for their features and especially their value. They tend to be the low-cost provider of these different devices, both from PC Magazine and CNET for many of their products. Okay, that's the end there, and what I'll do is let me pull up and see if we have any questions in the chat, and if you want to ask something live, certainly you can unmute and turn on your video. I'll turn on my video here. Let me do this. Let me turn this on, my video, and I'm going to stop sharing here. Okay, and let me go here to the chat. So does anyone have any question or comment there? Everybody awake there? You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, we are hearing you. Yeah. Yeah. The sound dropped off about 15 minutes ago. Could you repeat that? No,
Yeah. Check the video. Check the video. Go back on the video there.
We did just get a question in the chat.
Okay, Jan, yeah, I see that. Have you used any battery backups for smart devices? When I was looking to put my cameras outside, certainly power can be an issue there. And one of the things I did is I do have cameras in new locations at my house, but I have run electricity just so that I don't have to put up with uh, a battery or having to recharge it. Now, as far as battery backups for smart devices, usually if you're going to install a security system, you want to consider the possibility that your power may go out or somebody may turn off or cut your electrical line or that. In which case, then you're looking at a bigger system within the house to power certain circuits, and then you'd have to determine which circuits to have it on. Uh, the battery backups, at least in the PC industry, you used to always have kind of the battery backups for some of the hard drives and some of the computers. The issue with those is the batteries tended to only last 2 or 3 years, and it would get very expensive to replace those with new battery backups. So for the most part, people aren't using battery backups for that. You're either having a system within your house to be able to get things going, or if it's a security system, you design the security system to have that built in. Okay, Scott asks, is Wise compatible with Apple products? I assume so. I'm not sure about Siri, but so like Apple products in general are compatible with uh, most, let me back up, most smart devices can talk to these other services. So whether it's the voice assistants, the video assistants, the if-then programming, things like that, most will let you do that. So depending on the device that you get, it you start linking them together to do what you want to do, whether it's the routines themselves or things like that. And which routines you use, you'd be able to use those routines uh, mixing most devices together. So you can have it from one vendor and another vendor and another vendor. It just is some of those considerations I talked about early on. Is it a hub? Uh, well, I can mix some stuff on a hub and some stuff on a Wi-Fi. So you can do that. Now, if you had 100 devices, do you want to do it that way? Probably not. So again, depends on what your long-term strategy is, the devices, and how you want to connect them together and what you want to do. But with a little bit of investigation and some of these other tools, you can usually connect a lot of things together. It just may take a little bit of work there. Okay. Uh, I use quite a few Wise devices, and I've been very pleased installing the garage thing next. Currently use uh, indoor and outdoor static cameras, motion camera, light bulbs, and just started the robot vacuum. Uh, yeah, so most of the people I know, including myself, I use Wise products, quite a few, but my smart plugs, I bought it at Menards. It was cheaper at Menards, and I knew that they'd interface with Alexa. I could turn things on, and if I could get to Alexa, I could program, I could do everything that I wanted there. So um, I don't just buy Wise, but we'll talk about one point for the Wise here, or in general, one point in general. Wise came out, I mentioned, like 5 years ago with the version 1 camera. The version 1 camera is no longer supported, and if you have a version 1 camera, you should not be using it because the BIOS because these devices are like a little mini computer. They have a little operating system, and it's not being updated. So it can be susceptible to a hacker. And so these smart devices, if you do buy them, they are getting updated. And if they aren't getting updated, the smarter ones, if they're not getting updated, are going to be highly susceptible to a hacker or that somebody finding a way in there. So, and somebody had pointed out a while ago, I think when I was talking about this, that there had been an article several months ago about the Wise camera, people breaking into the Wise camera, and at that particular point, they weren't breaking into the Wise camera. It was kind of the general deal. If you, when you set up an account, if you don't set it up with a strong password, or you use the same password, an account that you've used on other systems or sites, and those sites have been breached, and that information is out on the dark web, somebody can connect to your camera and they can be viewing it. And so that's the reason you want password managers, you want strong passwords, you want different ones, you want to be changing it, that kind of thing with these different things there. So security as a whole there, it's not going to stop me from using these devices, but certainly the more devices you have and the more connections to the internet and that, you want to make sure that you do have secure connections and that you're the only one that's going to be viewing the video and things like that. Okay. Other questions or comments? Let me see here. If nobody has a question, let's take a quick look. I think we got a couple minutes here. Let me share my desktop again. So let's go back here to Wise. We'll quickly go out to the Wise website here. And so they have a wide range of products, everywhere from scales, cameras, floodlights, doorbells, deadbolts, lights. If you can't afford an Apple Watch, actually I do have this watch, $29 I bought it for. It doesn't do everything that the Apple Watch does, but it counts my steps fine. It gives me notifications. It does my heartbeat, does my sleeping, does my oxygen levels. So it does have, for $29, it's tough to beat the price there. And like I say, they usually pick a lower price point than most everybody else there with what they have. They do also sell refurbished equipment and things like that, the home security. So they've got a product line of, I think, probably in excess of 100 products now. And they started from nothing as a Kickstarter about 5 years ago. And after the success of their camera, it's just led to all these other products and services that they have. I'm going to stop sharing here. Let's go back. Any other questions there? John, I guess, has got, we have several cases, smart plugs for lamps, which we use via Alexa to turn on and off. Bought these through Amazon. We do have to remember not to turn off the dumb light switch for the receptacle the plugs are in, and that's a common problem people run into. They'll put some of these smart devices on a switched outlet, and if you turn it off, That's like turning off power to the computer. It's not connected to the internet. If it's not connected to the internet, it can't be turned on or off. You either people will put tape over some of their switches or buy smart switches and look to set up your system that way. But I find it very handy to have the plugs and turning on and off, and I can use my Alexa because I do have the different devices all throughout the house, so I can turn things on or off that way. And especially nice if I get a telephone call, I can just say, Alexa, mute TV, and it mutes my TV. I don't have to fumble for a remote, don't have to do anything there. So you can use it volume up and down on the TV, just about all kinds of things there. Okay, any other questions or comments? And if you don't have any devices right now, like I say, as soon as one of your dumb devices breaks or is no longer functioning, before you buy any new device there, consider some of the smart options that you may have. And for that matter, it may be a case of, okay, if your alarm clock dies, well, you don't need an alarm clock anymore. Just buy a voice or a video assistant because it can do your alarm clock function and 1,000 other things. So you can start replacing some of these other devices, make them smart, integrate them together, and come up with some really good solutions there. Okay, any other questions? If you do have any, you can send it by email or that, or our next question and answer will be in August. We do have the Macintosh SIG coming up this Friday, so hope you can attend there. And sounds like the thunder is maybe rolling in a little bit there, so we'll let people get back to their afternoon, and we'll see everybody later there. Thanks for joining.
Thanks a lot, Tom.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks, Tom.